Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these messages before or these videos before, thank you for tuning in and welcome. And for those of you who have, welcome back. Thank you so much for sharing these videos and thank you for all of your support, you guys. I really do appreciate you. And let's do a little flow. Okay. So we are in the midst of some big energies. We have recently gone through the equinox. Sorry, I'm hearing different words, and I'm having to kind of tune into what ones I'm hearing and stick with those. We have more energetic bursts coming up, and this is not to say that there are not already loads of energy their way, on the way. And so some of us are feeling this upliftment, and some of us are feeling the opposite effects of this shakeup, we might call it, of the energetic confluence or convergence that is pushing through the portal system, if you will. So I'm being shown a picture of the earth and I'm being called to draw it. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm being shown, oops, I'm being shown this. Funny, it looks like an Easter egg, but I'm being shown the earth. I always see the earth as shaped like an egg. In my visions, that's how it looks to me. And I'm not going to get into a conversation about flat, round. I just see it as an egg. I see it as an oval. And that's just how I see it in my vision when I'm going into meditation. But having said that, and I see layers. Anyways, I'm being shown these portals that are in the earth, and energy is coming up through these portals. And it's almost like I'm being shown sonar, like waves. So it's almost like when a gas comes up out of the earth and then plasma comes in and mingles with the gas. And what I'm being shown is that's when new elements are formed. And this is when I'm hearing new creation is born. And then I'm being shown that we are kind of sitting in this soup, alchemizing certain properties and potentials that are giving us a potential to create bigger properties. Okay, that's a play on words. More earth, bigger land, which I've been shown that there is more to the earth than we've been shown. So maybe that'll start to show up for us. It might become available to us. It might become known to us. And that's something that I'm seeing. I'm seeing the whole schematic is shifting. So I'm being called to talk about that briefly because when we talk about the schematic shifting, there's a lot of people out there that are talking about the earth having a dramatic shift. I'm not here to agree or disagree with that. For me, the schematic shifting could just be that all of a sudden we're told one day, hey, guess what? There's land here and there's land over here. And all of a sudden, our idea or concept about what we have available to us as far as land shifts. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's natural disasters and catastrophe. It might also mean that there's just different pieces of reality that become available to us that were blocked before. That could be because we couldn't see them because we were in a different dimension, or it could be they were blocked because of misinformation. What I'm hearing is the relevance is that we are now moving into the space where this will change, where space will change. And this changes the space in which we are able to co-create in. And so many of us are gleaning information from multiple sites, if you will. This is a play on words. I'm seeing seers, websites, and visions, and websites. I think I already said that. This creates an abundance of information and miscalculation, and correct calculation, incorrect calculation, it's play on words, that we are overwhelmed by at times. And so some of us lean into the easier answers. We lean into what seems logical, or we lean into the old habit patterns of looking towards the blame game. And while we wish to blame certain individuals as this information comes to light, we would invite those who are looking to even the score to know more, to know thyself. And in knowing thyself, we recognize the scoreboard has been wiped clean. We just have not reached the pinnacle yet. Play on words. We have not necessarily reached the point in time where the true score is being shown. And so we think that one has won or another has won. And yet we would venture to say in this moment, that is not the case. We are already in a different place. It only, I'm being shown, we're looking at the scoreboard and we're like, that doesn't quite add up. Because it doesn't, because the game has changed and the way that they're counting the rules doesn't add up because the new game doesn't work the same way. So that's what I'm saying. So by knowing thyself, it allows us to feel and discern through this mucky muck, through the mucky muck, the mud, and the convergence of influential, affluent know-it-alls. This is a play on words. For some appear to know it all. Some, by all appearances, would know it all, and others think they know it all. And we all know that in the all, nothing is as it seems. And so we embark on a new territory. And so some of us are curious how this looks and how it will unfold. And we would venture to say that we are still looking at the old ways in order to make those predictions, in order to predict what has already happened, in order to predict what we think the future will hold. And so we must look towards the future in order for us to access what it is that we already hold. Okay, this is a big play in words. So basically what I'm saying is that we're looking for answers outside of ourselves. We're looking, what do we do next? We're looking there when we're already holding in our hands what we're creating in the future. So we have access to this now, but we're used to asking, and this I think kind of ties in maybe with my last car flow video. Can't remember exactly what I said, but we're looking towards certain people to pull us out. And oh, okay. I'm also being called, before I forget, that one of the biggest messages that's been coming up for me is for us to be our own advocate and not rely on somebody else foretelling our future all of the time, because the way in which one perceives time is elemental, dear Watson. I'm in flow, kind of. So pause. So what I was being shown is we're creating new elements and there's new things that are coming up, right? So Watson to me is like Sherlock Holmes, like be our own detective. Sorry, and be our own advocate. And Watson also to me is like a wattage, our own energy source. Quit relying on other people to be our energy source, and to really, although we can uplift one another and help each other from time to time, we have to begin to rely on our own inner source to really make our own way. And I'm also hearing not being so hung up on about what other people say. So that means many different things. So let's go into that a little bit. For as these energies come in, they feel sometimes as if they can push us into many different directions. And some of us are realizing there are too many choices. There are too many choices on which channel to choose from. And so this is where us tuning into our center force, our center channel, allows us to channel and foresee our own future through our own divinity. So divining, when you divine like a tarot, right? It's fun to have somebody give us some ideas or answer our questions, but those questions that we get answered usually lead to more questions from my experience. And that's good, because the more questions we ask about ourselves and the more questions we ask about our universe, and the less questions we're asking about things that aren't necessarily part of our new structure, such as what is this person doing? What is that person doing? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? I'm just hearing get out of high school, right? It's time to step up to the plate, play the new game, rather than wait for someone else to tell us what that game looks like, because we're creating it. And I'm just hearing have respect for humanity. So show some respect for those other humans who are really going through difficult times. And we don't necessarily need to understand their life. We're here to understand our life. And if we can't even understand our own selves, then why are we focusing on someone else? So I'm getting a lot of messages about this. This is coming up in my reality too. And sometimes it's just curiosity, but sometimes curiosity, if it's not for our own expansion, for the betterment of humanity, that curiosity is a human thing that we all have, but I'm hearing it's a waste of time in some ways. If it makes us think and it makes us wake up to more about us or recognition about our reality, that can be helpful. But it isn't the know all be all. I'm hearing the nosy, the know all be all, like the queen bee, I'm just hearing the queen bee, the knows all, the nosy, the anyways. So we are being called to strike now. I'm seeing a bowling strike and pins. We are being called to roll in to the future now and put a pin in what it is that we wish to tune into, and see if it pings off of our true questions, our inner questions, our hearing inquiring minds want to know. What is it that we are inquiring about? And that will tell us. When I hear inquire, like, what are we singing about? What psalms are we singing? What songs are we singing? Is it in sync with what we wish to feel? What our energy, where I'm hearing where attention goes, energy flows. So what we're thinking about is where that energy is going, right? So if we're constantly tuning into he said, she said, no matter what community we're in, this is building that program. It's building that mentality. It's building that mental reality of consciously seeking information that isn't necessarily for our own highest human expression. And so we invite you to open the door to more of what you already know that is held within you. And compassion is the key. And I'm hearing they're not saying, oh, bless her heart. That's not real compassion. So when we look at someone and go, oh, I feel so sorry for them, so that or do we watch somebody else's lives and go, well, that makes me feel better, because their life is crazy. I'll say sometimes I'm guilty of that. I'm like, oh man, my life's pretty good, look at them. But sometimes that compare and contrast is what we need to see what we don't want or what we're grateful for. So it's not always a bad thing. I think what the guides are really referring to here is gossip columns is what I'm hearing. For within your own chamber and your own vertical column is a land full of milk and honey. The human body is the elemental exchange system. And as we exchange one element for another, as we allow ourselves to move out of lamenting old times, lamenting old stories, lamentation, plan words, we are called to move into a higher version of reality. This does not mean we are moving up and away, if you will. Instead, we are expanding out and into and bringing inner to outer in a reflection of what it is that we are expanding and growing into in this form. And so, in this form, we are an elemental collaboration of many different informational exchanges between brain synapses and cellular expression and all of these molecular interactions. This comes with a silver lining, one might say, for we are infinite and we can play in an infinite way. So therefore, we are not here to convey one value system being better than another. We are merely here to say, for those of you who wish to play in a higher geometry, in a more synchronistic environment that syncs us up to a technology that is beyond our wildest dreams, the exchange that we are looking for with source, the source code exchange that many of us are searching for, this comes at a price. And the price we must pay in some ways is saying, good day. That is not for me. Good day. Good day, sir. I'm just saying, like, good day and good night. We are saying it's not something for me anymore. Maybe it was, but now I'm here and I can appreciate where that was. Yet that is not where I wish to be now. So fill in the blanks, you guys. It could be politics, it could be friendships, it could be, and we're not here to just dump someone who is maybe playing in that same game. We're here to compassionately understand that that's where they are. And there is no better than or higher than or hierarchy is what I'm hearing. And so as we step out of the old game and we create our new game, we feel the play. The pull to the old is strong, and yet this new kingdom is full of playful fun and vibrancy. So we invite you to feel into this message. And when you are listening to any messages, feel into the vibrancy of that particular message and the reason behind it. Is this particular sharing of the highest accord? Is it something that pulls at our heartstrings and helps us to expand our own ripcord? I'm seeing like, poof, like parachute, we feel like we're floating. We feel good. And if it does pull at our heartstrings, are we able to view it with compassion? And is it something that we are able to? I'm hearing focal intent and focal attent and focal intent. So I'm being called to play with that just for a second. So funny, as soon as I looked that up, the tinybuddha.com, I've never read it before. So it says the power of focus, directing your life with intention. Now, I'm not promoting this at all. I have no idea what this is. And I'm also not one to promote any particular religion or sacred text. I believe that there's something powerful that can come from synchronicity. And it says, turn your face toward the sun and the shadows will fall behind you. It's a Maori proverb. And I have a strong connection with Maori energy, and based on what I've seen in the past. And I'm just seeing that this is I'm seeing focused intent. It used to be focal intent. But there's a play with this. Like, we're not ignoring the shadows. They're part of it. But if we're looking at the sun, we're seeing the texture. This has come up a lot of times in what I've channeled. We see the highlights. You can't see the highlights without the shadow. But if we're constantly focusing on the shadow that's being presented as light, we have to use our discernment to go, is this really light, or is this supporting, something that isn't necessarily adding to the greater good, or adding to my life, or helping my life grow, the human collective grow. And I'm just seeing also the power of focus and having an intention. I always ask every day for magic. I mean, that seems like a not very important, but to me, it's important. To me, to get through my day, and magic comes in the most simplistic of ways. It can be a synchronistic conversation. It can be, somebody feels wonderful after I'm done working with them, or I get to see or have a conversation with a loved one that's on the other side. That's magic to me. And I ask for it because that's what I want to see in my reality. So that's my intention. And when I'm present, I can focus on that. Some of us are focusing our attention on bigger problems than we have the power in that now moment to actually change. So if we're focused on all that stuff, I'm hearing the gossip, that takes us out of the present moment, puts us into actually the past because it's already happened, but then puts us into a projection of someone else's timeline. And that's a whole other video. But if we can find our focus and recognize what our intention is, that's powerful. I struggle with that sometimes myself, because there's so much going on, you guys. There's so much pulling us in so many different directions. Even when I channel, I'm like, oh man, what do I focus on? Well, what's my intention? My intention is to share whatever would be helpful in this now moment for the highest and greatest good that is do no harm. Basically, that's my intention. And then whatever I allow to come through is what usually comes through. Sometimes it's personal things that I feel called to share because it might benefit somebody else. So all of us have different things going on in our lives that I'm also being called to share are potentially going to be highlighted with this portal system. So I'm going to get back to the portal system, and then I might do another video on that. So our human bodies are a portal. Many of us have heard of the chakras and the chakra centers, and while it is important to know what those are or what they represent, we would just venture to share that your eyes are portals, your ears are portals, your mouth is a way in which you can share information, but you are also interpreting and sharing energy through your body. And if you are a walking portal, so to speak, that which you are tuning into is accessing you, meaning you are syncing up with that energetic component as a companion to that energetic component. It is just part of how our reality works. And so while we are walking portals, we would invite all of us to look at, to listen, to feel, and to sense what it is that we are walking into, what we are walking with, who and what we are holding hands with, so that we may begin to recognize what it is that makes us feel good, makes us feel alive in the most delightful way. Is that the song? Spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So when I was saying earlier, the land of milk and honey, our pineal, our pituitary, our glands, our column is our spinal column, our energy that is I'm hearing swooshing through our body, the cerebral spinal fluid. And I'm getting back to being our own advocates. The more issues I've had personally with my body or health conditions, the more I learn and the more I'm able to share with everybody else, which is the irony, right? I get to share things about heavy metal detox and um, things like cancer and things like parasites and kundalini. All of these things are things that have personally affected me or my loved ones directly. Therefore, I'm able to share that information. And so that's another and a whole other spoonful of sugar, another can of worms. All right. So we'll talk later in a perhaps another video about the portals in more detail. But we just want to draw attention to the fact that while these energies are coming in, we are inviting you to draw attention to what it is you are focusing on with intention. Recognize your intention and recognize where your attention and focus are going so that you can access these portals and these energies within your own body to double up, if you will, while these energetic flares are coming in. So I'm seeing the eclipse, solar activity, equinox, portals in the earth, all of it. And this will combine with the elements in your body to maximize your human potential. And as you maximize your human potential, you create a brand new ability. And this ability is what many of you have been asking for. So to be continued. I know some of you are like, well, what ability is that? Well, what have you been asking for? Some it's clairvoyance, some is clairaudience. For me, I was like, bring it on, I want it all. And whoo, once that door opens, I had to go through a period of time where I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I was just kidding. No, I want more. No, I don't. So it's finding that balance. And, if you've got activations going on, honor your body. That's part of what am I focusing on? What is my intention? All right, my intention is to open up my ability to see my own future. Okay, what do we need to focus on to make that happen? Going within, meditation, tuning into your body, writing in your journal, keeping track of your dreams. More importantly, sometimes in all of that is keeping track of your synchronicities. Because oftentimes we're like, well, I am meditating and I am journaling. But I didn't realize that I was actually receiving messages till I woke up in the middle of the night in writing. Woke up in the middle of the night. I had been writing for years, just journaling. I'm feeling this, I'm seeing that, I dreamed about this. So I started to look back at my old dream journals and realized, oh, I dreamed about that and it came true. Oh, I dreamed about that and it came true 2 years ago. Number one, that's why it's important to journal dreams. Number two, I didn't realize I was receiving messages at 3 a.m. I was just waking up like, I just need to go back to sleep. And sometimes we got to go back to sleep because we have a job, we have children, we have a loved one we're taking care of, whatever it might be. But when you have that ability to actually get up, just take 20 minutes to write it all out on a piece of paper, even if it's a list that you woke up thinking about. Clearly, it needs to get out of the ethers, be brought onto paper so that you can go, all right, I'm going to go back to sleep. And that will work more often than not. Also, I had to really listen, and I heard the sound behind the sound, right? I always talk about that. I would hear, wait a minute, I feel like a poem is playing in my head and it's not a song that somebody else wrote. I'm going to write down what I'm hearing. And all of a sudden I realized I'm channeling. I've got these messages coming in a poetic format, and it had been happening for years. I just never quieted myself enough, which is why 3 a.m. when you just wake up and you lay there is the perfect time sometimes, because no one else is up. You ask yourself the question, why am I awake? And sometimes you'll get the answer if you just close your eyes and feel into it. You might see pictures, you might hear messages, or it might just be that you need to get up and stretch because that's what your body is requesting that you do right now so your back doesn't hurt the next day. Everybody's different. So yes, when I'm working with someone, I can sometimes see that what they need to do that maybe they're missing. But if you just practice it will usually come to you. And if you're not sure, ask for help. Ask someone who has done this before or may have a little bit more knowledge about it. And sometimes just in that asking, you'll get something that synchronistically sets you up for more answers than even what you asked for. And I'm being shown that this is happening a lot in the coming months for a lot of people. So until the next video, in love and light, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate you guys. Namaste.